Okay, can you all see the slides?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you, the organizer, for inviting me to share this research project. So this is a project that we conducted starting last year under the Center for Islamic Economics at the university, at the International Islamic University. So tonight I will be talking about this project. So the title of my presentation is Empowering Community Through Islamic Microfinance and Entrepreneurship Development, Sharing the Experience of our research project. The acronym of our research project is i-Taajir. So Tajir means businessman, and I is referring to Islamic microfinance that we are using in the project. Okay, so this will be the outline of my presentation. So I'll be starting with the introduction and talking about the background of microfinance, and then the background of the project, and then the details of the project, and then I will end with challenges of that we encounter when we are conducting the project, and what are the our strategic planning, yeah, for the project. So in terms of the history of microfinance, the movement of microfinance started because many people believe that the credit-worthy poor would excluded from the formal credit market. Yeah, so the concept of microfinance actually came into existence in the 19th century. So it was in the 1400 when an Italian monk had opened the first pawn shop to counter the practice of usury. Yeah. And then in the 18th century, there was the existence or the establishment of Irish Loan Fund, which was developed to help the poor farmers. Yeah. So at the height of the fund, almost 20% of the poor farmers in Ireland were actually covered or given financing under the Irish Loan Fund. Yeah. So in modern time, the concept or the formal practice of microfinance institution was put into practice by Muhammad Yunus, yeah, in the late 1970s through the establishment of Grameen Bank, and then it was replicated by many countries. Yeah, so in Malaysia, for example, the largest microfinance institution that replicate the Grameen Bank is i-Taajir Malaysia. Yeah, so we have a few other similar institutions, and in some other countries in Indonesia, I can see Ibu Rosalinda. Yeah, maybe she can give input later in terms of the microfinance experience in Indonesia. So what is the definition of microfinance? So basically, in simple words, it's a small loan. Yeah, small loan given to the poor people to help them either to start or expand their business. And these people are not able to access finance loan or financing from the formal financial institution. Yeah, so in the microfinance sector, you will come across two terms, microcredit and microfinance. So what are the differences between microcredit and microfinance? Microcredit is a subset of microfinance. Yeah, so it is just providing credit to the poor, but microfinance is a larger, the whole concept. So when you talk about microfinance, actually you are talking about other financial services in addition to credit. So you the example would be savings, deposit, insurance, loan, etc. Yeah, so all these services are provided to small entrepreneurs, yeah, who are denied access by the formal financial institution. So these are the reasons why the poor people are normally denied access to financial institution. Yeah, so most banks, for example, consider the poor as not credit worthy. They are considered as rate E customers, for example. So this is the exact word that I was informed when I had an interview with one of the CEOs of Islamic banks in Malaysia. So which is very unfortunate. They regard the poor as rate E customer, yeah, because when we are involved in the research with microfinance institutions, their repayment rate is let's say for Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia is more than 98%. So these people are trustworthy, they are credit worthy, yeah. But commercial banks do not regard them as so. Yeah. The other reasons that they are denied financial access is because they don't have the collateral in terms of, let's say, the title of an asset, for example, a building, house. They don't have the pay slip, for example, to show to the bank as collateral. And the amount of loan that they are asking from the bank is uneconomical. It's very small. Yeah, so not worth it. So bank consider as not worth it. They don't have saving, yeah. They don't have insurance in case there is natural hazards, yeah. They are illiterate, so some commercial banks consider the poor as having lack of skill, yeah. So therefore they are high risk borrowers. And then the problem with consumption versus entrepreneurial needs. So sometimes the poor do not, for example, cannot fulfill their basic necessities. So there is this assumption that some of the financing or loan that they obtain from banks would be used towards the consumption purposes, not for investment or entrepreneurial needs. Yeah. So in microfinance, so the in formal financial institution, the role of the bank is for financial intermediation, right? But for microfinance, there are two roles: financial intermediation and social intermediation. Yeah, so there is an element of, let's say, training that is provided by the microfinance industry. So first, the microfinance institution would go out and seek for their clients. Yeah, so this is in contrast to the formal financial institution banks. Banks do not go out and to seek their client. So they wait for the client to come to the bank, right? But this is in contrast to the microfinance institution. They go out and seek the workable poor so that they can train them. So they provide training, and then at the end of training, they would be providing their financial intermediation, the financing. Even though microfinance is considered as an effective tool in development strategies in terms of alleviation of poverty, helping the poor, but there are also some issues and controversies, yeah, with regards to microfinance. Some people criticize the way that the target group is defined. For example, let's say the poor is defined as working poor, yeah, as was versus the hardcore poor. So if, let's say, a person is ill, for example, they might not be able to qualify for loan or financing under microfinance. And some microfinance institution has made it mandatory for the member to continually engage in borrowing. So this create the situation where the borrowers are trapped in debt vicious cycles. Yeah. So in order to be an active member, they have to borrow all the time. Yeah, even though sometimes they don't need it anymore. Yeah, this is the case for Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia in this country. Yeah, so there is also high dropout rate. Yeah. For Grameen Bank, for example, let's say 15% per year. So there's a typo there, sorry. So, and it's true for many other microfinance institutions. Yeah, and then emphasizing on women borrowers, for example, this in some countries have created social problems. especially, for example, when women became independent, and they make important, let's say, decisions for the household. Yeah. So that in some societies and in some countries have created a problem. Okay, so these are some of the issues and controversial with regards to microfinance. um, Now, our program that we run is using Islamic Microfinance. So what is Islamic Microfinance? It's actually a combination of microfinance, conventional microfinance, and Islamic finance. Yeah. So what are the differences between for example, let's say, what are the distinctive features of Islamic microfinance? So in terms of the sources of funds, yeah, sources of funds. So sources of funds come from the sadaqah, zakat institution of waqaf, and non-riba based, for example, financing. Yeah, as opposed to conventional finance, conventional microfinance, the sources of funds are from riba-based financing. Yeah, and then in terms of the users of funds, so we use Islamic contract. Yeah, Islamic mode of financing. So, for example, let's say Qard Hasan, partnership contract, such as mudarabah, musyarakah, and then murabaha, and etc. Yeah. And then in terms of the practice, there are the social development program that is embedded into the Islamic microfinance. And in terms of, let's say, participation of the clients, both women and spouse sign the contract. Yeah, and they are both liable for repayment. So this avoid the issue of women are too empowered, and they maybe maybe that will create a problem when they, for example, make decisions that maybe without consulting with the spouse. Yeah. So normally in Islamic microfinance, when I visited, for example, i-Taajir Malaysia, so normally the women would be the member of i-Taajir. When they get the financing or loan from microfinance institution, their spouse would be managing, would be managing the business. So they are hand in hand doing it together. Yeah. So this creates harmony in the household or in the family. Yeah. Okay, so now this is the background of our project, so which is called i-Taajir. So this project is a joint partnership, so between our center, which is Center for Islamic Economics. So it is parked under the Kulliyyah of Economics and Management Sciences of the University of International Islamic University, and in collaboration with CIMB Islamic Bank. Yeah. So this program, the aim is to guide the people around the university. So university is located in Gombe area, and also the state of Selangor, which is the university is located. So to give them entrepreneurial skills, and knowledge, and then also to, for example, to award them with the Islamic microfinancing facilities when they have passed the training program. Yeah. So for CIMB, this project is actually their CSR project, corporate social responsibility project. So it started last year. So we were given 500,000 Malaysian ringgit, which is likely more than 100,000 USD. Yeah. So we have implemented 3 cycles altogether for the project. Yeah. So this is the map actually of the university. So in addition to the poor people surrounding the university, we also target staff and students of the university. Staff, we limit it to the category C and D staff. Yeah, and then students, they have to come from the poor family background. Okay, so this is the map of our first project, where we had selected public housing area. Normally public housing, they only allow the B40, so bottom 40 people to reside there. Yeah. Okay, so this is our logo, logo of i-Taajir. So the golden column here actually represent part of the logo of the university, and then CIE stands for Center for Islamic Economics, and then the CIMB Islamic Bank. Yeah. So I can move this, right? Okay, so these are the objectives of the program. So first, we want to provide microfinance facility to the community, yeah, around the university. The second objective is that we want to enhance and empower the community life through entrepreneurship, so that they can move up the social mobility, and also to make them accessible to financing. Yeah, inclusive financing or finance is also an objective. And then another objective is that we want to study the feasibility of equity-based financing mode. Normally, in the microfinance institutions that exist nowadays, they avoid giving financing based on equity. Yeah, so they normally concentrate on debt-based financing. Yeah, so one of our research objective is that we want to prove that equity-based financing is feasible, it is profitable. Yeah. These are the benefits of our clients or participants. So we tell them when you join our program, these are the benefits that you will get. So they will get Islamic financing facilities up to 10,000 ringgit, which is equivalent to approximately 2,500 USD. They get free trainings. All the trainings are conducted in the university. So we provide buses for them to come to the university. So they get the formal learning environment at the university. So we also provide personal business guidance and coaching. So we select some of our students who are capable to provide this guidance and coaching to the participants. And then they also get the training on ethical and spiritual aspects of doing business. Yeah. So what are the do's and don'ts in business? So these are our strategic partners. CIMB is our major strategic partner. They provide the fund. So we collaborate also with Hijrah Selangor. Hijrah Selangor is another microfinance, state-based microfinance institution, which is serving the poor people in Selangor. Yeah, so we have collaboration with them, and then we have collaboration with the biggest microfinance institution in Malaysia, which is Amanah IIT Malaysia. So these are internal. Entrepreneurship development center in the university, and also the Kulliyyah. Yeah, we also collaborate in Kulliyyah. So when we, let's say, involve students, so we, for example, we work with the Kulliyyah so that the students are given credit, so that in terms of their participation in the program. So these are the different phases of the i-Taajir program. So we start with the motivation that serve as a program kickoff. So where we had a half-day program, and then the second phase would be the education phase, where we provide training. Yeah. 4 modules under the training, and then coaching is done by the student. So the students would be coaching the participants to prepare business proposal. Yeah, and then they would be presenting their business proposal to the researchers, that is myself and to my 2 other colleagues, Professor Aslam and Dr. Muhammad Mustafa Omar Muhammad. And then they once they were selected, they were given financing, they will start their business. So we'll be also meeting them regularly, so that they will share experience. Yeah, so how they deal with their business problems. So first we will invite, let's say, an expert to share, for example, to give them guidance or tips on businesses, and then each of them will share their business experience and problems that they encounter, and the expert will then give the solution, specific solution, yeah, to each of them, and then the monitoring period, and then the repayment. Yeah. um, so these are the Islamic modes of financing that we offer to our participants. For Islamic modes of financing, later I will show the model, specific model. So this one is the first mode of financing, which is Qard Hasan. um, I eliminate the details because this is the model. But basically for Qard Hasan, what we do is that this is only restricted to people who are requesting financing for less than 5,000 ringgit. Yeah, so we consider them to be the hardcore poor, so we will choose Qard Hasan, yeah, as mode of financing. So basically, this would be they would just be paying back the principal without the service charge. Yeah. And we say in the contract that the participant is encouraged to give sadaqah, yeah, to give sadaqah when they pay back. So it's not compulsory, but they are highly encouraged to give sadaqah because this money will help to finance future participants. So this sadaqah will be put in a special fund which is called Tabarruk Fund. Yeah. And the principal that they pay, we will put back in the trust fund. Yeah, again, we will be using it for future participants. The second model is the Murabahah model. Under Murabahah model, uh, we we purchase assets, yeah, or equipments to the participants. They will identify what kind of assets that they need, so we purchase for them. Yeah. And then they will pay back the usage. I mean the by because of the usage of the asset or the equipment, with the markup of only 2%. Yeah. So here we don't go directly and purchase the asset. They will go with our student coach. Yeah. Our student coach will witness that they genuinely purchase this asset. So the participant become our agent. Yeah. So we delegate that authority to them to purchase the asset. So they will they will use it and then pay back the financing with 2% markup, and again, which will be put in the trust fund. The second mode of financing is the partnership equity-based financing. So here we will give money, yeah, to fund to the entrepreneur. They will use the money to engage in their business, and then they will be sharing their profit of 5% with us. Yeah. So they have the option of paying back the principals either monthly or at the end of the financing period. Yeah. So once they have paid back the principal, then the partnership will dissolve. Musyarakah mutanakisah is when ourselves, the center, and the participant become co-partner in purchasing an asset. Yeah, so normally the entrepreneur would put a small percentage of money, let's say 5%, to purchase an asset, and we will put 95%, and then they will go and purchase the asset with our student coach, and then they will use the asset to engage in their business, and then they will pay back the principal with the 5% also rental. Yeah, rental. because of the usage of the asset or equipment. Yeah. So these are the training modules, four training modules that we train the participants. So the first module is that we start with the idea and introduction of business, yeah, and then we expose them to the accounting and financial management, yeah. So which is very important for them to prepare the budget, yeah, the cash flow of the business. And then another important topic would be business ethics and akhlaq, yeah. So where they will be exposed in terms of, let's say, the cleanliness, the honesty of engaging in business, concept of debt, yeah, partnership, and the concept of barakah in business, yeah. And then marketing and sales, so they will be taught how to market their product online, offline, and many other things, yeah. So all the experts will be invited to engage the participants in this module. So the process of selecting the participants, normally we would use the visual indicator of poverty. So we would be looking at their assets, the total assets that they possess, and then these are the another criteria that they don't have the existing business loan, because we do not want them to, let's say, take financing from us in order to service their other loan, yeah. So we want our financing to be used productively, yeah, for genuine business purposes. At the moment, we only restrict it to Malaysian citizen, but in the future we plan to open the program to refugees. For example, let's say the Rohingya refugees. Yeah, we have quite a number in Malaysia, especially in KL. And then in terms of income, their monthly income would have to be 5,000 and below, which is 1,000 USD and below, and they don't have the bankruptcy and criminal charges. In terms of selection of the participants, again, they will have to attend all of the training sessions that we conduct, yeah, and they will have to present their business proposal, and they will have they will have to prepare first the business proposal, and then they will present, yeah. So if they miss any of the processes, then we will deny them financing.
Prof, 5 minutes more, Prof.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Almost time, eh? So these are the percentage in terms of the services that they are engaged in. Yeah. So you can see a large percentage would be on food and beverage. This is in cycle 2. So again, food and beverage will take the large percentage. This is cycle 3. Also, you can see F&B takes 54%. So altogether, we have disbursed a total of almost 170,000 ringgit, yeah, to all the participants. This is the picture of the houses of the participants in the first cycle. Yeah, so you can see that the conditions of the houses are not so good. But the interesting thing is that all of the houses have this satellite dish. Yeah, so that is one interesting feature that I observe. So normally we go visit them, yeah, to create bonding with them, yeah, so that they trust us. So we brought some cookies, for example, just to make them happy. So this is on the motivation day, yeah, the kickoff program. So that we have in that area. So the children, normally we don't. We will assign our students to take care. So they will be conducting some activities, for example, coloring, yeah, teaching them making sandwiches, things like that, to occupy the children's time. So these are the training, yeah, the training sessions which took place in the university. So this is the coaching session. So our students will be going to the participants' premises or their houses, yeah, to help them to develop business proposal. And then after that, they will present. Yeah, this is preliminary presentation, just like a trial for them. So just to have a feel of how to present business proposal. And this was the final proposal. which they presented in front of the researchers and also the bankers, yeah, who will evaluate their business proposal. So these are some of the pictures of the businesses that they are engaged in. So some of them are selling fruits, durian, making traditional, cakes, selling soy drinks. Yeah. So this one in selling some fish crackers in the night market. This one is involved in motorcycle repair. Yeah. The challenges that we face in the running the program is that even though our selection process is quite strict, but we get also participants who are not really serious in business. They are just there to get the financing. They just join to get money. After they get financing, for example, let's say in terms of starting the business is quite late. Yeah. So this attitude exists, yeah, among the participants, and some of them are already involved in several government scheme. Yeah. So that means even though we say that they don't, one of the criteria is that they must not have existing loan, but we get also cases where our participants have applied financing for other government schemes. And then we have problem with repayments, yeah, with repayment. So this is normal, but we will try to solve it. Yeah. In terms of the strategic planning, we plan to expand our target groups. Yeah, not only to limit it to the area surrounding the university and the state of Selangor, but also to other states as well. So we also want to collaborate with other more, for example, agencies, yeah, government agencies, so that they can help us in providing specific skills needed by the participants, and then also later perhaps to expand the i-Taajir model abroad. Yeah. Do I have time to show this short video?
Maybe later on.
Yeah.
Maybe later on.
Later on.
Yeah,
Okay.
later on, yeah.
All right. So I will stop here. Right. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Thank you so much, Prof. Norma. I think because of time, please write the question on the chat, and Prof. Norma will go through it, and I think he will select the question, or she will reply later on. We go first to Prof. Luqman. Prof, can you unmute yourself? Okay. So Alhamdulillah, tonight we also have with us my dear brother, Luqman Zakariya. He was with us for the last 6 years. And then he moved back to UK. Now he's in Nigeria. Prof. Luqman was a former head department of FIC and Usul FIC, and also a former director of research at IIUM. He has many books, many articles, so we can find on him on Google, his contribution academically. Tonight, he will share one of his research on Maqasid Shariah academic. Prof, welcome.
Okay. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونتوب إليه.
A bit dark, Prof, is it? Because of lighting. Okay. Nice. Okay.
What?
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Actually, the weather is getting dark here.
Oh.
My study room is dark a bit, so sorry about that. Well, I will not take much of your time. Thanks to IIIT under the facilitator, Brother Shahran, for having me today, though I was just told yesterday or day before yesterday that I will just share my research with our colleagues. And it's just a sharing session, which I believe that is more informal. But Professor Norma has put me on spot And I know her very well. She is my senior colleague in economics. If she remembers me very well. Today, I will not go through any slide because I haven't prepared any slide. But the research is very important. It's very important in the sense that we need to relevantize Islamic concepts with whatever we are doing. And we need to look into alternatives rather than to follow the trend that we've met our senior colleagues doing before. So that is why my topic is very cashing to the sponsor who sponsored the research. It's about using Maqasid Shariah for measuring intangible performance of Islamic higher institution. It may be a surprise to some people that why someone from fiqh, the background, is doing measuring intangible performance. For our colleagues who are doing research, I think it's very important to make things relevant to what is going on in the public. The notion of this topic started even before I came to the IIUM, but popularized by Professor Riza, our former deputy rector on research, who encouraged me to embark on this research. Why we need this is because the way we perceive things in Islam is not objective. Some people will say, oh, this bank is not Islamic. This university is not Islamic university. Oh, IIUM is not Islamic university. See what they are doing to the students. See what they are doing to the staff. See what they are doing to many people. We do not have any criteria of how we peruse or we measure the performance of an institution. Sometimes the institution believe that they are very good, like Islamic University, be it in Makkah, Medina, Malaysia, or anywhere in the world. They believe that, well, what you have been doing is better than others without having any criteria of measuring their performance. I'm talking about intangible, not tangible. The intangible aspect of every organization is very important. Why? It's because it's something that we do not see. We don't have it. It is not tangible. It is not physical. It is not material, but it is immaterial, but add value into the organization if it has been doing properly. So I've been thinking about this when I see some people condemning any Islamic entity. See, why are you doing that? Why are you saying that? This is because they do this, they did that. But when I look at what they did, it doesn't have any value much in Islam. Or it doesn't have any reason to condemn them totally. Probably they mean some kind of tahsiniyat, not the riyat. So from that, Professor Riza said, Luqman, is better you relevantize Maqasid Shariah to the performance of Islamic institution. And he said to me that time, he said, it is called KIP. KIP. Key Intangible Performance, not KPI, as we know. And I started looking at it and drafted a proposal for FRGS 2017, sorry. So when we apply, alhamdulillah, we got response from evaluators and this and that, but it was very minor. And eventually we got the grant in 2017. And we have been working on it before I left IIUM in January this year, which we've produced masters and we've written some articles for publication. We members, from me, Luqman, Zakariya, we have our former current dean, Dr. Shukran, on board. We also have Dr. Suhaimi from economics. We have Professor Rahma from Arabic. Currently, the one who is championing the cause is Dr. Farid from the Fiqh department. So what is it about? We have Maqasid and we have intangible performance. So the intangible performance is something that we cannot see, but it has value to the organization. Without it, the organization may not move properly. We may not be in a good direction. We may think that we are doing good things, but people don't value what we are doing. They don't respect what they are doing. As I said, that many organizations in Islamic country, they have been doing things ages, decades, but they don't change. They don't know why people don't come to them. So for that reason, I need to look at the intangible elements, like ihsan, siddiq, like transparency, and so on and so forth. So we look at the concept of intangible from the Western point of view writers, and we identify many elements that could be equivalent to Islamic elements. Then when we identify these intangible things, we juxtapose it with what we are doing in a higher institution, especially in IIUM and some other Islamic university in Malaysia or outside the Malaysia. Then when we identify all these things, then we look at what they call Maqasid Shariah. As we've known, Islam comes to protect many things. But among our Daruriyat al-Khams, the 5 necessity, which span from deen, nafs, al-mal, al-irad, and al-aqil. So when we identify these 5 Daruriyat al-Khams, then we put the preferences or what they call hierarchy, Daruriyat, Hajiyat, Tahsiniyat. So these 3 levels of view these Daruriyat al-Khams was split into 5 of what they call the 5 Likert scale. So in 5 Likert scale, we may have what they call strongly agree, slightly agreed, disagree, strongly disagreed. So this way of measuring the performance or the attitude or the frequency, we try to classify them according to the 3 steps in Maqasid Shariah, which is Daruriyat. So say, strongly agree, we said in our questionnaire that it will be equivalent to Daruriyat, strongly agreed. And if someone said that it is agreed, we believe that that is Hajiyat. If they say slightly agreed, we put them in the Hajiyat, but in the gray area. Then if they said disagree, that it is not important, we put them under the Tahsiniyat. And if it is strongly disagree, it will be Tahsiniyat. So we managed to get from these 5 Likert scale, we get all what we mean by Daruriyat, Hajiyat, Tahsiniyat. Now, we have variables. In the institution, we know what we do many things. Among what we do is that we have our curriculum. How good is our curriculum? How important is our curriculum? How our curriculum embedded Islamic values? So we put that as one variable in a higher institution. That also we look into the teaching aspects. The teaching aspect, yes, we have teacher, we have students. So in that case, we need to ask about those who are teaching and whether the teacher are performing very well. Does he do this or he does that? If you say you agree that, for example, one of the funny questions is that when the lecturer comes to the class and he said to you, Assalamu alaikum, is it important or not important? If we get many people say strongly important or strongly agreed according to the structure of the questionnaire, we put that under the Daruriyat that, well, all Muslims in this university, they believe that our lecturer must say Salaam alaikum. What is the evidence? We look at the Quran and Sunnah, what Quran says. But when we ask a question that, oh, your lecturer, do you like him to be with beard? For instance, no, some people say we disagree that it is important that lecturers should have beard in Islamic university. So we say we strongly agree. So we see the ratio of those who say strongly agreed and those who say strongly disagree. And we need to formulate a policy for the higher institution to look into all these intangible things that we do not care about. But the students, they care about this. The parents, they care about this. Even the lecturer, they want it to be in the university. So also, we look into the research. What kind of research is important in Islamic university? What kind of research we can do? So we look at the outcome of our questionnaire to formulate what is Doriyat, Hajiyat, Tahsiniyat in our research. Lastly, about the variables, we talk about structure of the university. Is it important to have many mosques in the university, in Mahalats? Some will say strongly agree. Some will say disagree. We need only one for the unity of Muslims. Meaning that someone in Mahala, Ali, Zubair must come to the central mosque to pray their 5 times daily prayer. So we want to see the perception of our Muslim brothers and sisters regarding the structure of an Islamic university. Do we need in the university, do we need air conditioning in all the classrooms? So we want to see how they feel. But funny enough, that is what I want to stress today, that not everything that we perceive as important is important. And not all what we perceive it is not important in Islamic law or Islamic norm. Some majority of people may say something is important, but when we look at it critically from Quran and Sunnah, Aqwal Sahaba, Aqwal Tabi'in, Ulama, we see that when we believe that it is strongly important, is not strongly important. It is just only tahsiniyat, that is something embellishments. And sometimes we do not think that something is important in our environment as Muslim organization, institution, but it is very important. It is wajib. But because of our, don't let me say ignorance, but lack of knowledge of what is in the text, we may think that it is not important, but to Allah it is important. So we want to make all these things more synergized with the Maqasid Shariah, whereby we formulate a policy, what is important, what is not important, what is Doriyat, what is Hajiyat, what is Tahsiniyat in an Islamic institution, whereby we can measure these performance according to the criteria we set, so that people will not just say something arbitrarily or without objectivity to determine whether a university, an Islamic university, is performing very well or is not performing very well. Even in terms of the publication or in terms of the structure, in terms of the teaching, recruitment of staff, getting students, and so on and so forth. So these are the gist about the research. We do not follow only quantitative, we also use qualitative. Qualitative in the sense that we went to the experts to ask them about these elements we've identified, the variables, and the level of these elements and variables, whether they are Doriyat, Hajiyat. We discovered that even the experts, they didn't even think much about this. When we posed the question to them, do you believe that to have mosque in the university, 2, 3, 4, 5, is it Doriyat or Hajiyat? Some will say Hajiyat, some will say Doriyat. What is your evidence? Because of this and that, they cannot say categorically. So we need to back on what they said with the texts, evidence from the Quran and Sunnah and Aqwal Sahaba, so that we can formulate the policy for the management, so that when they are doing what they call KPI, they will consider KIP as well. So in order to complement their work, people will not just value them or measure them according to their wings and caprices. They will value them according to Islamic criteria. So from there, we try to relevantize Maqasid Shariah with the scale of measurements. And not only that, we try as much as possible to eliminate the subjectivity of people about an Islamic institution, so that we can be in line with the demand of our customer, who are parents and the students and any investors in the university. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولجميع المسلمين إنه هو الغفور الرحيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
Thank you so much, Prof. Luqman. This is a very important research, very important work, which we can carry also to other Islamic universities all over, so that we can really work on data, on evidence. I think for Prof. Norma, can you just pick one question from the chat? We can arrange a special session with Prof. Norma on other time, maybe 1 hour this week or next week, focus only for her talk. Prof. Luqman has another specialization. He worked on relevantization of Islamic studies to the current world. We can talk about it later on. So, Prof. Norma, can you choose one question, answer just for tonight?
Okay, one question.
Okay, some of the questions is asking how can someone from other countries benefit from the fund? Actually, the fund is only limited to Malaysians at the moment. But what you can do is that if you have your, let's say, own organization in your respective country, you can, there are Islamic banks in your country, you can go and talk to them, because most of the banks have this corporate social responsibility, for example, aspect of the any organization, corporate organization would have that CSR. So, and it is tax, their contribution will be tax deductible. So it's a win-win situation. So they can, for example, contribute for the microfinance project, and then they can claim tax deduction from the government. So make, for example, acquaintance with the bankers and explain to them about this program, how it can benefit the poor people. One question on James Ferguson's idea, giving a man a fish. So he believed that cash payment or transfer is more successful compared to empowerment scheme. So maybe that was his findings, but I disagree with it. For example, let's say in Islamic Microfinance, we have this, for example, concept or idea that maybe if a person needs a fund for consumption, that can be, for example, combined with the zakat fund. But for the financing from microfinance, it will be used specifically for productive purposes, for business purposes. Do I still have time?
Yeah, one more.
One more question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other question is asking whether the training is generic or specifically tailored to the business dealings. The initial training would be generic, but then when they are involved in the business and they need, for example, certain enhancement or certain guidance in order to help them to proceed with the business, then that training would be specific to their business. Is the training mandatory for the participant, the recipient, or their spouse as well? So it's only the recipient of the microfinance. Is the training element principally Islamic based? Some it's a mix. For example, let's say preparing a budget or business proposal would be generic, would be conventional. But when it comes to business ethics, then we would embed Islamic ethics or principles in the training. So I think that's all.
Okay. We have two questions from Prof. Luqman, from Brother Nuruddin. Can you read that, Prof. Luqman? Or?
Yes, I can read 1 and 2.
The
first one is about the 5 necessity, which I've typed and sent it to them for the general consumption. First is the protection of religion. Second, protection of life. Third is lineage. Fourth is intellect. and the fifth is wealth. So in this case, we will look at all these things to evaluate the question and answer from our questionnaire. The other question, which is very important, is since each country has their own criteria and a policy for each university, how can we determine criteria for them from a Maqasid Shariah point of view? Which is a very good question. We are talking about Islamic university, and every country they know the importance of Islamic university. So let's say Malaysia, we still have some kind of autonomy to design some of the way we want to measure our activities. But we are talking about intangible, how to improve. So when we know all these elements and how it's supposed to be given priority, each university has its own management policy where they can adopt any of our recommendation and they can reject it. It is just a matter of suggestion on how to improve customer service. However, if we have like Cisco, they can come together to say, well, these are the criteria to evaluate or to measure the performance of our Islamic university all over the world. And all universities who want to be in that rating, they can buy into it and they will follow this criteria. It's a voluntary, it's a club, and we cannot police anyone or penalize anyone for not doing it. But what we will not have is that when we are issuing the way they say the ranking every year, that university who doesn't care about all these things may not be at the top. And we will give priority for those who try as much as possible to fulfill all the criteria according to Maqasid Shariah. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam.
Thank you so much, Prof. What we will do, we will discuss with Prof. Norma. We can allocate one slot for her, 3:30 to 4:30 Malaysia time, whenever date she is free. So we'll announce with the brothers and sisters. If you want, maybe she will answer all these questions during her session. Not this week, maybe next week. Prof. Luqman, we will invite him a special session on this relevantization. It's very important. For those who are in Islamic studies, they say, what Islamization? We are already Islamic, so we have nothing to do with Islamization. But actually we have, and it's very important also. So to close the session, we invite again Prof. Luqman, a final word, and then Prof. Norma. So 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, final words. Prof. Luqman, before we close. I cannot hear. Okay. How about Prof. Norma? Final words.
I would like to thank everyone for listening to my presentation.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay.
I'm very honored to be here.
Norma, wait.
Present. Yeah, I'm doing it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Continue, Prof. Luqman. Continue. You're losing the voice. Okay, Prof. Norma.
Okay, so thank you everyone for listening to my presentation. I think Islamic microfinance is very promising. We can do much more than conventional microfinance because we can, for example, combine the financing, the normal financing with, let's say, zakat in order to solve the problem of consumption versus entrepreneurial needs of the poor. Yeah. So maybe those who are interested, we can collaborate later and see how this can be expanded in other countries. Thank you.
Okay, Prof. Luqman, go ahead. Can you unmute yourself? Maybe okay. Prof. Luqman having a network problem. So thank you so much, everyone, for tonight. So I will get back to you regarding Prof. Norma's schedule, and also I'll discuss with Prof. Luqman a special session. During weekdays, our class is only at 5 Malaysia time. So before that, we are free. Our slot are free, so we will discuss. Luqman, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Luqman,
Oh, Prof. Luqman, okay.
can you unmute yourself? He's still there. Prof, can you hear us? Okay then. So inshallah, we'll have a separate session for Luqman also. Till then, we'll meet again tomorrow at 5 o'clock and at 9 o'clock. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.